Greetings and thank you for tuning in to tonight's broadcast. Just a brief reminder that if you have a request for a television series that you would like to see a first impression style review or a full-blown series review done right here on OAW Entertainment, become a patron at patreon.com/OAW and select that blockbuster tier. In addition to your request for the television review of your choice, you also get access to all Patreon exclusive content. You get access to the OAW vote, and you get an invite to join in on the live monthly Q&A held right here on the OAW YouTube channel, as well as the OAW Facebook page and Twitch channel. So once again, that is patreon.com/OAW and select the blockbuster tier. And with that being said, this is our review of the Marvel Studios television miniseries WandaVision. Let's get on with it.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?
Greetings to everyone watching live and everyone watching after the fact. Shout out to the faithful and salute to the patrons. This is Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief, here to bring you all finally the full season / full series spoiler-filled review of WandaVision. And tonight I am joined by my good friend and colleague, fellow YouTuber, my man, RandomBlackGamer. Tell the people what's happening. Say what's up to the people.
What's going on, everybody? This is your boy RBG, aka the Random Black Gamer, punching in to go ahead and do another review with my boy Larry Otaku Assemble on a very, very, very critical show. You know, this is one of those shows that everybody's been raving about and stuff like that. It was just crazy, man. Like I've been eager to talk about some Marvel stuff, and I just hit Larry up and told him, I was like, hey, man, you got to beam me up for this one. So here we are. We ready to give it to you guys, man. We just ready to nerd out and just talk about everything we loved and didn't quite like about the show. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah, we will most definitely get into it. So just real quick to let you guys know, if time permits, at the end of this review, we will be taking questions. But if you want to make sure that your question or comment gets read live on the air before the end of tonight's broadcast, you can always drop a super chat. Those are greatly appreciated. And of course, if you also want to support the channel, you can also contribute via Cash App and PayPal. Links are in the description box below. So real quick, since I just brought up the description box, you guys know how we do right here with the review. I'm going to give you all the brief synopsis, give you all the little rundown, give you all the little background information, and then we're going to go ahead and just get into this discussion. So, and of course, click that description box. You guys can read along. The summary is not much different than when I did the first impressions for WandaVision, so we'll get through this pretty fast. All right, so in this video, I am joined by my man, Random Black Gamer, to review the Marvel Studios television miniseries WandaVision, starring Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Bettany, Kathryn Hahn, Teyonah Parris, Randall Park, and Kat Dennings. The series was created by Jac Schaeffer and directed by Matt Shakman. And brief synopsis. Set 3 weeks after the events of Avengers Endgame, Wanda Maximoff and Vision are living an idyllic suburban life in the town of Westview, New Jersey, trying to conceal their true natures. It's okay, see, that's a typo because that's supposed to be like secret identities, true identities. As they begin to enter new decades and encounter television tropes, the couple suspects that things are not as they seem. So very brief description of the series, but as I mentioned, this is going to be a full-blown spoiler review. We are going to talk about all the spoilers in this one. So if you guys have not yet had a chance to check out the series, you might want to go ahead, pause this right quick. Granted, it is 9 episodes, but don't worry. Content-wise, you're only talking about maybe 4 hours of content, 4 hours of content that's worth a damn. So go ahead, you can pause, put us in your history. Make sure you come back, though. Come back. Don't just leave and then go watch and then get distracted because they got Star Wars over there on Disney Plus and they got all the Marvel. No, come back and finish watching this review. All right. So with that being said, let's go ahead and let's just talk about general overall thoughts on the series as a whole. And Random Black Gamer, man, get us started. What were your general overall thoughts on WandaVision?
Well, coming at this show as a former Nick at Night kid, this is everything that I loved about the 90s growing up as a kid who didn't have the luxuries of having cable. But, was kind of forced to watch stuff like Cheers and I Love Lucy and stuff like that. So this was right within my wheelhouse, and I just enjoyed those particular aspects of the show. And also, it seems like everybody keeps complaining about Marvel Studios being in this realm of inertia, but this right here is a complete game changer. And it pretty much just switches things up completely, because we've just been used to these big box office juggernaut cinematic movies, and now they're just doing things and experimenting, and this sets a good precedent for the future for the TV part of Marvel Studios, the real TV part of Marvel Studios. The acknowledged Kevin Feige aspect of the TV series for Marvel Studios. But I really enjoyed this, man. And like one thing, like that I want to quote my guy Anthony Mackie on. Like he had said this. He had said that the secondary characters are the characters that usually make the movies. You know what I'm saying? They bring a lot to the table. They're basically the ones that hijack the wheel of the car and just cause as much chaos as they can. And it's up to the main character to grab the wheel and do the exposition and get things back on course. And I think, what's my girl's name that plays Agnes?
Kathryn Hahn.
Kathryn Hahn. She did an excellent job, and not just Kathryn Hahn, but the other characters that were used to being secondary characters who are now the primary characters, which is Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany. Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen. They both did excellent jobs, and it was just good to have the spotlight on them and showing them expand in terms of range with their acting chops and the emotions, like with Wanda and stuff. So it's a lot of things I could put in the words, but I just can't right now because, I'm still trying to, register everything that just happened because it's still fresh on my mind. But overall, I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the show.
Okay, so we're going to be in for an interesting stream. Very interesting. Because we actually do have counterpoints.
Okay. I like this. We finna have a beam struggle or something.
Yeah. So
I got a little drink to make things interesting too. We're not sponsored by Reds people, but a little something to give you buzz, keep make the little stream a little interesting.
Jesus, I haven't had Reds in over a year. But so my overall thoughts on the series, I was not a fan. I'll be honest with you. I was not a fan. I was actually disappointed too, because Wanda was one of the main characters I was waiting for us to get into, because I am a Scarlet Witch fan. Prior to the MCU and whatnot, I've always dug that character. Ever since I was introduced to her. Thank you, X-Men Evolution, for that. And by extension, Vision was always a character. I mean, I wasn't a huge Vision fan, but and granted, my problems kind of start there with what we've done with Vision in the MCU so far, just because I was, I'm a fan of the whole Hank Pym, Ultron, Vision, that storyline that creates Vision. Like I'm a fan of that. And like the interactions, the conflicts between, like Ant-Man and Vision in the comics, or Ultron and Vision, like I like that whole thing. So when the MCU decided that we were going to turn Jarvis into Vision, I'm like, okay, it's a little bit different than what I'm accustomed to, but I can roll with it. And Paul Bettany's great choice, great casting choice. So all of that being said, the fact that we were taking these two characters, spinning them off into their own series, I was all for it. And then, of course, because of what we heard about, how this is supposed to lead into Doc Strange 2 and all that type of jazz, which, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk a little bit about the news surrounding the show throughout the discussion, because I have some criticisms about that as well. But anywho, so yeah, this was one of those television projects that I was actually looking forward to. It's the one I was looking forward to the most. And for the most, I mean, the whole sitcom gimmick, I kind of saw what they were doing, and I wasn't exactly on board with it at first, but there was enough mystery, there was enough intrigue there. I was like, oh, okay, I can kind of sort of get around this. And then it really did take halfway through the series, because episode 4 was when we actually started getting explanations for stuff. And then episode 5. And episode 5 was like, yes, like, okay, now I'm on board with this show. Episode 5 still has one of the best scenes in the series for me. I was like, okay. But with that episode 5 cliffhanger, ever since that, the show just went downhill for me. It just plunged straight off a cliff for me. Yeah. And I just had multiple issues with it that we will get into throughout this stream. But the story was typical. Once you actually figure out what's going on, it's very typical. It falls into that same tired MCU sort of format. I have issues with the villain because I don't think the villain was done as well as it should have been. I also don't think we needed the explanation behind Wanda's powers the way we did. And then my biggest issue with the series is that they straight up lied. They lied to the audience to keep the mystery bubble going. They straight lied. I had to double check, but dude, they straight lied to us. And I cannot reconcile that because I don't see what the purpose of that was. So yeah, I was highly disappointed with WandaVision. I really was. I thought it was too damn long. I thought it could have been. I mean, this should have been a movie. This was easily a 2 to 2.5 hour movie, or bare minimum a 4-hour miniseries with 4 episodes, an hour apiece. You could have very easily put the first 3 episodes in one episode. 4 and 5 could have been 4, 5, and 6 could have been their own episode, and then 7, 8, and 9 could have been one. Could have been another one. Like that's it. Actually, I messed that up the way I said it. No, I'm sorry. 1 and 2 are one episode. 3 and 4 are another one. 5, 6, and 7 are one, and then 8 and 9 are another one. And that each one of those 4 episodes, 1 hour piece, we could have been done with it. So yeah.
Yeah, I will say this: like WandaVision is kind of like leading the charge, or it's like it's raised the bar in terms of extended long credits. You know what I'm saying? And just keeping people there. And Disney Plus doesn't make anything better with their bad little search or fast forward bar that you have to kind of go through because they don't put any previews at the above the bar.
Espa, help me out, man. Where are the closed captions?
Oh man, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, I was wondering that same thing.
Dude, I was looking because I always watch TV with captions. Dude, I was looking. There's no option for closed captions. I'm like, what the? Why?
Yeah, they need to work on that, man. It's like if y'all going to compete with Netflix, at least kind of take some advice or just take some tips from them on how to, come up with a very optimized streaming service, a very accessible streaming service, because that's what it should always be about: accessibility. You got deaf people watching, and I know they want to get involved, and you got people that just love seeing the captions. So yeah.
Yeah. And what's sad about it is Disney Plus actually has one of the better interfaces in terms of of their streaming service. Because if you go look at like HBO Max, for an example, it's a mess.
Yeah, HBO Max takes a long time just to load up when you turn it on for whatever reason.
It's a mess. So, okay. So what's the first thing you want to jump into with this review? Because I feel like should we just go hit all of the big topical stuff, or should we work our way through that series?
I don't know, because you've already kind of started off with your initial thoughts on the first couple of episodes. How many episodes did you review?
The first 3.
Yeah, the first 3 episodes.
Which is and here's the thing about like the way they kind of set up this series, right? Like the first 3 episodes are the ones where we are strictly in that sitcom territory, because it's not until the end of the 3rd episode when Monica gets expelled from the Hex.
Right.
So the first 3 episodes are like straight all sitcom. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because the 3rd episode is the one when the kids were born.
Right.
So yeah, I did my first impressions on that. And like I said, at that time, and this was kind of funny too, because I had not, okay, so first things first. Apparently there were spoilers that were leaked for the series online before the show even came out. I didn't know about that. I didn't know anything about those.
I didn't know either, man, because I remember I had told you something. You was like, nigga, you saw them spoilers. And I was like, I didn't even know about the spoilers.
Okay. Yeah, no, because I remember that, because I think it was after episode 4, you hit me up on Facebook and you was like, oh, somebody was right about the whole Vision body thing. And I was like, You read them damn spoilers, didn't you? Which I'm glad you brought that up. You want to know why? Because that's the main thing they lied to us about in the series.
Exactly.
But I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back to that.
It's a lot of stuff that I will say this. Although I enjoyed the series thoroughly, like I thoroughly enjoyed the series, there were a lot of open-ended things that happened that didn't really get answers to, like in the ending of the series. But then again, since this is an expanded universe, we don't know if those are just setups for other potential plot lines in the Marvel Studios, filmography or whatever, So I don't know. It's like, do I give them the right of passage to do that, or do I just criticize the show because I didn't get answers that they actually implemented into this show, but they never really expanded on? So I'm with you on that. I see exactly, a lot of stuff that you complain about that I probably wasn't as harsh on, but I feel you because I did.
We're going to get to that in a sec because I'm gonna be honest with you. Some of that stuff I'm gonna be real with you. I don't even know what you're talking about right now.
Okay.
So we gonna get into that. But so coming off of my first impressions, like I said, like those first 3 episodes, I thought they were fine for what they were doing and whatnot. We were doing the whole sitcom business, and I'm fine with that. Okay, groovy, great. Episode 4, that's when we finally get our info dump. That's when we figure out everything that's going on, what's going on behind the scenes. Guess what? Even that, great. And then I feel like that series going into episode 5, because episode 5 is when Vision starts figuring it out on his own. Because remember, Vision figures this out on his own,
right?
Because that's when he has the episodes with like his coworker, that whole thing. Like he's able to get inside his mind and figure out what's going on. And like I said, episode 5, the crescendo of that episode is the argument between him and Wanda, which is still, I think, one of the best scenes in that series, right? And I felt like that's when the show was at its best. We were here, right? Mm-hmm. And then that damn Quicksilver cameo came in at the end of episode 5, and I think we just derailed after that. We really did. And this is where I'm coming from with this, just so people don't think I'm just ragging the show. Here's the thing about that. Because we have a series that we had to keep up with for 8 weeks, right? 8 weeks, because it's 9 episodes. We got the first 2 in the first week. We've been keeping up with this for 8 weeks. And because of what I do and the business that I have and whatnot, I can't help but keep up with the news on this, right? I thought that the show became too self-indulgent. Like it started feeding off of its own press. And it started believing in its own hype. And I think that reflected itself in the work. And especially if nothing else, the Quicksilver character that we had in this show is supposed to be the audience member because he's the fourth wall breaking, because he's the one that brings up all the meta narrative shit, right? Like, how come your accent? What happened to your accent? Shit like that. Like he's the one that points out the things that us as the audience point out about these movies and about these productions and whatnot. And I know that was supposed to pass for comedy, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I didn't care for that shit. First off, I don't like that version of Quicksilver. I never did. I never liked the Evans Peters Quicksilver. I wish they would have brought back Aaron Johnson, but once again, he's dead. Which we're gonna come back to that too, because we're gonna come back to shit that they lied about, right? But the thing is, it's like ever since that episode, it just felt like like I said, the show was just feeding off of its own hype. And here's the thing about that. They were smart. Because the MCU, they figured out, well over a decade ago that it is the social media hype that pretty much pushes their products. They don't have to pay much for advertising. Why? Because everybody with a Twitter account or a Facebook account is doing it for them. Every type of entertainment outlet, especially if they cover like geek films and geek entertainment and shit like hell, even us right here on YouTube, right? We take care of that for them. We push their product for them, right? But here's the thing about that though. I've never seen an MCU production like eat its own hype like that while it's occurring. Because like you said, in case some of the viewers don't know, this is actually the first Marvel Studios television show because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all those Netflix shows, those were conducted by departments within Marvel Television, which is a separate entity from Marvel Studios. So all of the other Marvel shows we've gotten prior to this, those weren't Marvel Studios. This is the first time Marvel Studios is doing a television production. And it's different when it's a film. You want to know why? Because the film is already made. And when that film comes out, that film is going to be received however it's going to be received, and it's going to have to stand on its own merit. And even when Marvel has tried to hype up and market their films in the past, the whole thing with like they made Black Panther, this cultural event. They made Captain Marvel, this female empowerment narrative, during Women's National Month and all that type of jazz. Like, they fed all of that, right? But it was never as egregious as I thought it was with WandaVision. Cause shit that did not pay off. We were promised a major cameo in this series. Granted, that was from Elizabeth Olsen, and I just feel like at the end of the day, she was just trying to push the show. So I don't really blame her for that. But you know what? I don't know who to blame for that, because it's the media's fault as much as it is hers, because they're the ones who took that and just ran with it. But that never freaking happened. They made a big deal about Evan Peters' Quicksilver, even though that didn't amount to shit, because it wasn't even the same character from the X-Men franchises. They set this up to be the big setup for the multiverse of madness. There is no multiverse in this show. There's no multiverse in this show. None. Nothing is interdimensional or multiversal. None.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of stuff, man. Like you said, I think that this show took a similar route that Ryan Reynolds took with the Deadpool promotions, because from what I hear, it's like most promotions were done online through him, through his social media accounts and stuff like that, which was a genius tactic. And like you said, like the people over at Marvel, they were just riding off of that. And I remember Paul Bettany. I don't know, like, if you saw this, but Paul Bettany said that there was going to be this actor that he's always wanted to work with, and people were just trying to figure out who the heck he was talking about, because just seeing this Evan Peters guy come in and do the supposed X-Men, or Fietro, as my girl Agatha likes to call it, seeing him do that, a lot of people just started conjuring up all kinds of theories and stuff on who these characters could be, And then there were obviously some little references to the X-Men movies and stuff like that, when Wanda flipped the guns around and on the soldiers and Hayward, and people started suspecting that maybe Magneto could make an appearance. But I'm kind of one of those guys who keeps his reservations to the chest, kind of tight to the chest. I'll get on social media every now and then just to see what's going on. But with this series, I do that. I was going to have to kind of steer clear of everything, especially around like 3 o'clock when the show would always air on Fridays. But, I think that people just kind of overextended themselves on expectations and stuff like that in terms of theories that didn't manifest in reality after they conjured them up. But yeah, they were definitely, feeding off of the whole social media hype and getting people talking.
And what's funny, because I just ran across this article, I think it was on Collider or whatever, where the author of the article accused fans for having unrealistic expectations of the show, which is the reason why they didn't like it. And I just call bullshit on that. I just call bullshit on that. Because like you said, Marvel leaned into the hype around the show.
Yeah, there's no other way to put it.
So the thing is, and like I said, they fed into that. So yeah, sure, we can go ahead and we can make that comment about like, oh well, maybe viewers shouldn't be as harsh on the show because their dislike of it is based off of those expectations that they had that weren't fulfilled. Sure, we can have that argument, but that's not the reason why a lot of people are, because I don't know if you ran across this, but from everything I've seen and from what I've heard from other people in regards to the show, people are just lukewarm on it. You see what I'm saying? And like most people are lukewarm on it. Like this isn't like a Daredevil situation where it's like damn near everyone likes that show. And it's not a Iron Fist situation where damn near everybody dislikes that show. You see what I'm saying? Like most people are actually like, it's lukewarm. It's in the middle. You have a group of people that don't care for it, and you have the group that do, and that's about it. Dude, I was actually I had talked about the show for the first time with my sister last week. And my sister, like, she likes, geeky stuff and whatnot, but she's not into it as deep as I am. Like, dude, she still hasn't seen Age of Ultron. Okay. Despite the fact that she owns the movie, she just has not taken the time to watch it yet, right? And I'm not even sure she would have went and gone to see Civil War had I not gone to the theaters with her. You know what I mean? So, like, I mean, she likes this stuff, but she's not like hardcore into it.
Yeah, not invested.
And dude, and guess what? She told me straight up. She said it's too slow.
Yeah, that's the thing too, Larry. Like my fiance, like when we first started watching this show, she was about to just cut it at episode 3. It wasn't until episode 4 when stuff just started to pick up and you started getting more clues on what was going on that she decided to stick around and stuff like that. But another thing that I think a lot of people are just disappointed in was just how they could just see everything coming. It was like everything that they suspected came true, and it was just so on the nose, but it's just the way the show drags it out and makes it seem like they're going to add so much to it, and they do that aha moment and it doesn't pop, and they're just sitting there like the awkward old Jew in the barbershop. It's the same thing,
The Agatha reveal, anybody slightly remotely familiar with Scarlet Witch saw that. Like I said, because I mentioned that at the beginning of the video, like my introduction to Scarlet Witch was X-Men Evolution. Agatha was in that show. She was in that show. She was the old woman who was controlling Wanda's powers.
You're right.
So, dude, even if that's all you knew of Scarlet Witch, you've seen that character before.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, dude, and they do not, and this is when I said the self-indulgence. Not only did they play the reveal like it was a big fucking thing, they made a song about it.
Yeah, we had to do one more guilty pleasure song, to pay homage to the monsters.
Like, oh my God, dude. So that's the thing. It's like, yeah, I find it funny. And just sort of to wrap up this whole part of it, this whole argument of it, I find it funny that on the one hand, people would criticize fans for not having their expectations met, but on the other hand, they cry foul when we point out things that they set up that they weren't able to pay off. And it's like, okay, come on now, which one is it? Now I'm not saying that it has to be one or the other, because those things are mutually exclusive. But I'm just saying, if we're going to be fair about criticism towards one, we got to be fair about criticism towards the other.
Right. Yeah, I feel like if they would have just, kind of kept a tight-lipped and stopped playing with people's emotions and kind of be like, will they or won't they? Well, maybe you could see a special cameo. We got Evan Peters, so maybe you're going to see somebody else from a former franchise that's now ours. It's just one of those things where the promotions and the media machine, and also, like, I'll say this, like the social media influencers who, come up with those videos, just theorize and stuff like that. Sometimes they'll say that they got something from an official source saying this stuff is going to happen. It's a lot of stuff, but Marvel played into all of those aspects of the entire blogosphere, and it kind of came back to bite them. So they don't have anybody else to blame but themselves, for hyping a lot of stuff up and saying things they probably shouldn't have said, or they probably should have monitored their celebrities that are featured in this show not to say. Because like I said, man, when Paul Bettany said that it was going to feature some actor that he always wanted to work with, I didn't realize that he was talking about himself.
Was that supposed to be the White Vision thing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I didn't hear about that. That is so bad.
Yeah, it's like when he said that, everybody just got so hyped. I'm like, man, you guys better just keep y'all reservations just tight to your chest, man, because we don't know what he's talking about. Like, these actors are just known to kind of troll and lead you on.
That's so bad. But let's be honest about this though. At the end of the day, had they dropped this all at once, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation.
You right about that.
The reason why this issue presents itself the way it does is because they did the weekly episode format as opposed to just dropping the whole thing at once.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Anytime you do something weekly instead of just dropping everything in bulk for everybody to binge, it extends the dialogue. It makes you create more dialogue. And that's just one of those things, you know. It's just one of those things, man.
Yeah, it's okay. So before it gets too late, can we talk about the lies?
The lies, okay.
Can we talk about the lies? True or false? Correct me if I'm wrong, because if memory serves, you were the first one to mention this in the comments of my first impressions video. You said, what did you tell me?
I said,
go ahead.
I had said, okay, since they've changed the W to weapons and sentient world or whatever, and to the sword, the sword. I said, okay, Vision is a sentient weapon, so maybe Wanda took Vision's corpse and reanimated it. Because there was a lot of stuff that was suggesting that, like, if you guys remember the whole instance of them kind of understanding how the hex worked and how Wanda basically has the power to transmute items and stuff.
Hold on, wait. Before you go there, because I'm setting up a timeline.
Okay.
Before we got that episode, because remember, my first impressions only covered the first 3 episodes. You said that in the comments of that first impressions then.
Oh, yeah.
Wanda went into Sword and she stole Vision's body. True or false?
Right. Yeah, true. Okay.
A week later, episode 4 comes out. What happens at the very beginning? You remember the opening scene of episode 4?
Yeah, I think it showed footage of her going in the sword facility.
Or what? Monica gets she comes back.
Yeah,
she got snapped. She goes to the new sword facility, and the director shows her then.
Right.
And what did he tell Monica? Wanda stole Vision's body. That's at the beginning of episode 4.
Right.
Okay. Then later in episode 4, because it's actually the end of episode 4, is when they find out that Wanda is just manipulating things within the hex. Why? Because we gave a whole fucking scene to an explanation behind why is it that Monica's outfit was made of the Teflon that was in her bulletproof vest that she walked into the hex with. That vest got repurposed. Because like, oh, Wanda's not creating this stuff. She's just manipulating what already exists. Am I wrong yet?
No, you're not wrong yet. And I see what you're coming from. I see because it's like they're setting up a bait and switch. They're setting up all this stuff to just be like, okay, so it has to be this way. But then it's nothing like we suspected, especially after they just built all that stuff up.
Because in episode 8, we find out Wanda created all the shit from scratch. So that she never stole Vision's body, she just, created. Well, okay. So I got a couple of questions. If she didn't steal Vision's body, why the fuck did you send Monica there in the first place?
Right. Exactly.
Now, I understand why Sword went there after Monica went missing, but why did you send Monica there in the first place? If, in fact, okay. Number 2, we found out after Monica and your boy Jimmy and Darcy, after they were pretty much kicked out of the Sword camp, when they decided to go infiltrate the hex on their own, Darcy found out, oh, wait a minute, so-and-so is tracking Vision's body. Which Vision's body? If it didn't exist, how is he tracking a body inside the hex that doesn't exist?
Right. Another question that I had too. It's like when Hayward is talking to Wanda, he said something along the lines of, "Oh, you could just make a Vision or bring him back to life or something along those lines." Didn't he say that? And it adds so much like
No. He I don't remember that, but I do specifically remember he did tell Wanda when she came out of the hex for the first time, the scene when she switched those switched those guns, he said, "You stole sword property."
Right.
He told her that to her face.
But I remember him saying, like, during the flashback when they actually showed the full thing of what happened when she went.
Yeah. No, you talk about late.
Yeah, later on.
When we get the whole,
when we get the whole spill, he says that you can just revive him or you can bring people to life. Like, what do you need with his body? And such and such. And I was like, how does he know all these things? And they make him out to be this character who's more than what we see him to be. Maybe he's like a whole different other character because he just knows so much about Wanda and her abilities and such, and he's kind of manipulating things like he knows, or like it's almost like he was in cohorts with Agatha or something like that. Like he knew a lot about chaos magic.
You wanna know why?
Why?
Because the fucking writer slipped. They did that shit where the character read the script.
Wow.
That's what they did. You want to know why Hayward knows what he knows? Because he was in the writer's room.
Oh wow, some meta shit.
which if you're doing that for a gag, it's funny. If it's meant to be taken literally, that's not good writing. That's sloppy writing. Yeah,
man. Yeah, I thought about that. I was like, there's got to be more to this guy, but he's just the typical mustache twirling villain.
Oh, check this out. Real quick, I'm gonna throw this up here. Maniac Madness 11 says, "Hey Larry." Oh no, he said, "Hell." No, I'm sorry. I gotta read this the way it's written. Hell, Larry. How did Hayward know about visions existed in Westview until he got there and watched the broadcast in the first place?
That is a good question.
Because remember, Darcy was the one that figured out how to put up the broadcast so they could see it. They didn't know what was going on in Westview.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that character's motivations don't really make a lot of sense. Like when you just look at it.
Hey, dude, Hayward is one of the worst written characters in the show, and I'm gonna tell you why. Did Hayward really do anything wrong prior to episode 9? And the reason I say that is because the series ends with Hayward being arrested. For what? What did he do? What law did he break?
Right.
It wasn't until episode 9 and Hayward did do it. This shit tripped me. I was like, okay, I'm fucking done. He pulled a gun on kids. When Monica had to jump in front of the kids and deflect the bullet. I'm like, wait a minute. This dude is just going to pull guns on 2 children?
Hey, 2 manifested kids. Yeah, they were just like, yeah, this is your villain. Yep, this is him. It's like none of it makes sense.
Hayward's not the villain. That's the problem. He's not the villain.
But they kept setting it up. Like they kept doing a lot of things to put him in a villain chair, though.
Yeah, exactly. When if you actually think about it,
Wanda is more.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say that if anything, Wanda is more of a villain than anybody else in the show
because she actually abducted a whole town full of people, held them against their will, and willfully did so even after she was confronted by Sword. Dude, because honestly and truly, I think there would have been no smoke when Sword shows up to the hex, right?
Mm-hmm.
If Wanda would have just been like, all right, fine. All right, y'all, I'm out. Drop the hex, let fucking Westview go, leave Westview.
Yeah,
I don't think there would have been any smoke. She, not only did she abduct that town and hold those people against her will, she was adamant about making sure that nobody could stop her from doing it. Mm-hmm. And she gets to walk free at the end of the fucking series. Wanda actually did commit a crime. She actually did commit a crime. The reason why they decided to go ahead and make the Sokovia Accords is because of that shit.
Mm-hmm.
What Wanda did in Civil War was a fucking mistake, and they used that as the catalyst for the Sokovia Accords. What she did in fucking WandaVision is an argument in favor of those Accords.
You're right. You're right. Like the only thing I could
did what Tony was afraid they would do.
Right, like I say, the only thing I could think of why they would be so lenient on Wanda because they it's documented about her life and stuff like that. I'm sure Sword has everything documented. They know more about her little sympathetic story, and they will want to be lenient on her. But it's just a possibility that she could do this again, and they just let her just freely walk. That kind of gets me, like that whole thing.
And there are ways to fix this. There are ways to fix what I'm talking about. You want to know how you fix it?
No.
That it wasn't Wanda's fault to begin with. Either her powers did it, like her powers went out of what, you could still do the whole her grieving and all that type of jazz, and her powers just take over because that's what happened in Civil War. So it would have been more of that. It's like, no, Wanda tried to do one thing. Her powers got out of fucking whack, and it ended up turning out worse than what she intended. Why? Because so far as we knew, prior to WandaVision, her powers came from from an Infinity Stone. She doesn't know how to fuck to control that shit. Just like Strucker and them didn't know how to fucking control it. So that would have been one. That's one instance you could do. Just uncontrollable power. Number two. Since Agatha was the villain to begin with, just make Agatha the one responsible.
Yeah.
Either one of those things would have gotten Wanda off the hook because it wouldn't have been her fault.
And it's the thing too, it's like she always suggests maybe I am the villain. She's willingly, able to do it.
I just disregard that as bullshit dialogue. That's just bullshit dialogue.
Oh man, but I don't know, man. Like I say, man, these movies really don't have like usually like some of them, with the exception of the Avengers installments, like those usually don't have a proper end because it's almost like a chapter, and they just put a bookmark in it and they wait till the other chapter picks it up to begin. I'm pretty sure they will try to do somewhat of a course correction up in the other movies that try to tie into WandaVision, or maybe if they'll come out with a season, like a second season, they'll try to fix some of this stuff. But
why would you do a second season?
Hey, they can always do a second season. Yeah, it's me. Like if there's still stuff to tell a Wanda story, do another season.
But it wouldn't be one. No, this needs to be a one-stop shop, one-stop go. This is a miniseries. This is its own self-contained thing. If you want to do something else, you make another series, but you don't continue WandaVision.
Oh.
Because I'm not doing sitcom shit again. I'm not sitting through that.
I don't think they'll do that. I'm pretty sure they'll try to change it up a little more, But like I say, man, some people argue the fact that, she's already going to be in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Why do they need a second season for that? But, I think, it just depends on where the character goes, where they can kind of piggyback off of that and do a second season. But I don't know, man. It seems like you just really bummed about this.
Who, me? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because like I said, they lied. They straight lied for the sake of keeping up a mystery. But that's not how you write. Dude, here's the thing about that. Because I brought this up. I was in, I'm trying to remember whose chat I was in. I was in a chat recently for another video, and I said so, like, no one, like, y'all, because I think they were talking about WandaVision, whatever. I was like, nobody's gonna bring up the fact that they just straight up lied, right? And somebody replied to my comment is like, oh, they didn't lie, that's what Hayward told Monica Rambeau. I'm like, who is our window character at that point in time in the fucking story? Monica. Who was responsible for that so what? So you telling me a character purposefully lied to another character about what's really going on because surely that character had more knowledge than the window fucking character that we have? Let me tell you something, dude, because I tried not to take it personally because this person don't know me from a hole in the wall. I'm just a username on fucking YouTube. I've written a story where that happens. And that's not how that shit works. Whatever information, if a character is keeping a secret or withholding information or purposely lying to another character, the reader has to know what the fucking truth is. That's how we know it's a lie in the first place. You can't reveal that information to us in that exploratory dump like that, because essentially that's not just that character relaying that to that other character. That's the fucking writer relaying it to the reader. Because whenever you pull some shit like that, you get an unreliable narrator. And very few stories can pull off an unreliable narrator. One of the best ones that I can go ahead and give as an example is highly criticized for this. Fight Club. Fight Club is an example of that, because the main character who is giving us all that exposition throughout the entire fucking film, you find out, spoiler alert if you've never seen Fight Club, he's Tyler Durden. But you want to know why that works? Because nothing he said contradicts what happened. You see what I'm saying?
I feel you.
If he would have told us one thing and then we see Tyler do something else and then we find out he was Tyler all along, that means he fucking lied. And unless you're writing a character like the Joker, who we know is a habitual liar, that's just not good fucking writing. So either they outright lied for the sake of keeping up the fucking mystery, or they didn't know what they were doing and they were just making the shit up along as they went.
Oh wow. Hey, that's one of the theme songs of this show. We're making it up as we go along.
Seems like it. Because of nothing. Well, shit, dude. Should we get into all of the fucking contrivances?
Sure.
Like, haven't you noticed after Pietro enters the picture, why the fuck is Vision gone so much?
Yeah, I was thinking that. I was wondering about that.
Yeah, and the show makes it like, oh well, him and Wanda, they had this big blow up argument, so they don't want to be around each other. You had Darcy driving around a beam that can phase through shit and can fly, but they're waiting in traffic. And then they even came up with the little contrivances about all the things that was happening that was slowing them from getting back into town. And he says, I think Wanda is purposely putting things in our way to keep us from returning, back to the house because she doesn't want to face what she's done. You're the fucking Vision. You can phase through the goddamn car and fly. Unless she's going to stop you from flying.
Right. But hey, to be fair, they do kind of play around with it and they make fun of it. It's like, what the hell am I doing? Like when he's sitting down in the confessional,
because how does he get out of it eventually anyway? He flies.
Hey man, I totally feel you, dog. I feel you, man. It's like, just looking back at it now, it's just a lot of moments. But I just thought it was just one of those meta things where they know, and they're just playing with the audience. But, it is kind of so on the nose and a little silly at times.
That's because they were doing the whole Modern Family shit, the Modern Family spoof, which, in my opinion, was the worst episode of the show. I hate that fucking episode because that's episode 6. Hate that fucking episode. No, I'm sorry, not 6. That's episode 7, because episode 6 is the Malcolm in the Middle episode, which that was another thing too, dude. I did not like that fucking episode, especially since, I had to sit through the fucking 50s and the 60s and the 70s and the 80s sitcoms. Y'all finally got to my generation sitcom. And the one thing y'all didn't even do well enough, because they do it a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
You remember what the whole shtick about Malcolm in the Middle is, right? It's told from Malcolm's perspective.
Exactly.
He's the one telling the story. Dude, why aren't those kids the main characters of that episode?
Yeah.
Like those kids, because they start the episode off like that, where it's the kids that are pretty much like running the show. But then halfway through, once Vision leaves, and then we have the Wanda Pietro moment, and we don't follow back up with the kids until the end of the episode. Once the shit hits the fan, after the whole Hex deal with Vision trying to escape. But I'm like, dude, that whole episode should have been told from the kid's perspective.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what I was thinking. Like once they opened up with the kids talking directly to the camera, I thought that it was going to be like that. And I don't know. It's like I don't know if it's just me, but what do you think about the action sequence at the end? Because I thought that was kind of a letdown too, like compared to some of the other stuff that Marvel has produced and like choreographed.
Dude, was it really that much different than Guardians 2? The ego Star-Lord fight? Because that's what it reminded me of. Guardians 2, Doc Strange 1.
I don't know. Like I was kind of thinking that it was going to be a lot better. There was going to be a moment of shine for each character. You know what I'm saying? I was like, if y'all, like I was saying, okay, if y'all going to use the X-Men Quicksilver, why not give little Speed, a Quicksilver moment? You know what I'm saying? To pay homage to that. That would have been dope.
You talking about at the end of
like the fight like that they have in the city, like where like I think Hayward tries to run over. I forgot who he tried to run over, and
when the boys had to take care of the troops. No,
yeah,
he does zoom through them and like
he does, but it's not like the ones from the X-Men movies though. It was just like a quick.
I want that slow mo. We gonna throw on an old fucking song. No, I don't want no. Thank God they didn't do. I'd have turned that shit off if they did that.
Oh, man.
And I do not like those fucking scenes, dude. I think they're so fucking stupid.
Hey, I mean, the X-Men movies, they are what they are. I'll say that much.
I think they're so fucking stupid. And this is coming from somebody who fucking Days of Future Past is my favorite X-Men movie. I thought that was the dumbest fuck. It's just dumb. It's just fucking dumb. So no, thank God they didn't do that. But no, Fear or Hate, I see Fear or Hate, his comment real quick. He says Vision versus White Vision fight was cool, even though it's quick. No, it should be quick. Two Visions fighting each other, that should not be a long fight. And no, dude, that was the fucking ship of Theseus scene between the two. Dude, that was the best fucking scene in the finale, and I would argue in the show is right up there with the Vision Wanda argument. Dude, Bettany, you know how they say you put your foot in it? That motherfucker went knee deep. Dude, what he does, because remember, dude, White Vision is just a straight white face. Bettany is pulling off that performance just with his eyes and just his facial expression. I'm like, dude, he did that shit. He did that scene. I can't take that from him, bro. He did that shit. That was a good fucking scene, bro.
That was a really good, like, two characters that can like phase too, like they can do intangibility and all that. And it's not kind of reminiscent of the fight with Vision and Ultron and stuff, and that exchange that Vision has with Ultron at the end, or the last Ultron and stuff. Kind of reminiscent of that scene too. It was really good. Yeah.
Now I'm going back to that scene because I do really like that fucking scene where because Ultron tells him, he says, "You are insufferably naive," and Vision's like, "Well, I was born just yesterday."
Right.
and what's funny is it's said for comedic effect. Vision has no sense of comedy at that point. He is literally was literally born yesterday.
Yeah. Right. Facts.
That was really good. That was really fucking good.
Yeah. That's another open book for what they're gonna do with that Vision later on. Hopefully,
dude, I think that's how they're gonna bring. If you're asking me, I think that's how they're gonna bring Vision back fully.
Yeah, like you notice, he already has an exterior design, like a different design, like with the patterns and stuff. So I think they're just gonna add different color palettes to him this time and just upgrade the look.
Yeah, but that's I mean, dude, fuck. Essentially, when White Vision leaves, he is Vision,
Right?
because Vision was able to restore his memory.
Yeah.
So essentially, he is Vision.
Right. Yeah.
So I mean, like I would imagine if that's how they bring Vision back, like into the fold, it will be Vision like circa Civil War. Or like the end of Age of Ultron. Like, dude, oh my god, I just thought about this. You know what we're gonna have to end up doing? Hopefully, we don't see this shit, because I don't want to see this twice. Wanda is going to meet up with a Vision that she has not met yet, right? The same way Star-Lord has a Gamora that she has not met him yet.
Right.
I'm like, dude, put us back to status quo off camera. I don't want to see that story where it's like, oh, they have to rediscover their love and shit. No, I don't need to see that shit.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you, man.
Cause we good. Just like I didn't need to see all of the other shit in fucking episode 8, where they pretty much showed us Wanda's backstory again.
Oh yeah, that was I was dreading that as soon as I saw the name of the title.
What was the name of that title again?
Previously or something along those lines. I was like, they're gonna just show us something like a recap of some sort, but I wasn't expecting them to just go all the way back. But yeah, it was something along those lines. Yeah, previously or rewind or something like that.
Yeah, and we are coming up on an hour, so we're gonna get ready to wrap this up real quick. The last complaint I have, last issue I have with the show is just how we did Wanda's powers. Because essentially we established she is a witch, but she didn't know that she was a witch. But you notice nothing about we didn't do anything about nothing with the whole mutant piece. Nothing with the X gene piece. Nothing like that.
Right.
And again, we established that we're not going to make okay. And I don't think this has anything to do with unrealistic expectations. You can go fuck yourself in terms of unrealistic, not you, but I'm talking about the people who would have this criticism about unrealistic expectations. You have an entire show dedicated to a character that you couldn't adapt fully the first time you introduced her into your franchise because you didn't have the rights to the original source material that she comes from. Now you do.
Yeah, right.
So if you are going to dedicate a whole fucking show to this character, it is not unrealistic for me to think that you will go back and retcon elements of that character from the original source material back into the main motherfucking play. That is not unrealistic, because notice that's what they did with Magic. Notice how she's a witch now.
Yeah, that's the whole thing too. Like, as soon as like they got the rights back, like they hit the ground running, Larry. Like, I hate to interrupt you, but you notice they hit the ground running with everything that they've acquired, because a lot of Fantastic Four elements were being used in this and some of the X-Men stuff. And I was just like thinking, okay, so how are you guys going to properly just start implementing the seeds to, groom these mutants, have them come in further on down the line? And I was thinking that this could be a good starting point, but they never really just pulled the trigger. It's like they want to, but they don't.
Dude, they took forever in a day just to do the Magic piece.
Right.
Because once again, that whole notion that, Wanda's just repurposing what's already there. Even then, you're taking away from the aspect of she's a magical being that can create this from nothing. Like, they still weren't trying to go full-blown magic at that point. Dude, the fucking shit is exhausted. Just fucking do magic. Just fucking do it. Just fucking do it.
Oh, man. Hey, you weren't lying when you said we were just going to have at this series. But yeah. like I said, man, I thoroughly enjoyed the series, but there are a lot of things that don't make sense, like in terms of creative decisions and stuff like that, and the way they're structuring stuff. I guess mutants just isn't a priority at the moment since they do have Phase 4 set out, but certain things need to be ironed out a little more, especially in terms of Wanda's arc and her story going forward.
You know what could have solved this?
What's that?
Instead of her having some, because remember how they said, because pretty much what they established with those flashbacks was that Wanda always had these abilities. Because remember, she's the one that kept the fucking Stark missile from blowing up.
Probability magic.
Yeah. How about y'all just say, oh, she has some type of, well, I mean, they still could, right? They could just be like, oh, well, you had the X gene when you was a kid.
Yeah, you were born with it, so you're not necessarily a metahuman or a mutate. So what else can you be? Oh, a mutant. And they've kind of like implied certain things there that people are going to start looking at metahumans or mutants differently, thanks to Wanda. And they could just add this to another one of the things that she does, like the whole Sokovia Accords thing, like the Sokovia. And then this incident right here, it needs to, be brought up later on in another story, if you ask me. So this could be proper wood to the fire when it comes to people just hating mutants. And the whole thing with mutants is they don't know how to control their power, so they need to kind of make it known that she probably couldn't control it to add to that, and I don't know, man. You got me rethinking, man, do I really like this series? Because now you just reminded me of a lot of things that I did kind of question, but I was just in the moment of enjoying it.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy it as much, honestly and truly. I really didn't. So that's pretty much all I got, man. I really don't have much to say about the supporting characters. Dude, the only thing I will say I just found the fucking Monica Rambeau thing weird. And this is what I mean by that. I'm not talking about the actress. I'm not even talking about her performance. I'm not even talking about the way she was written. I'm talking about where the fuck did this Monica Rambeau fan base come from? Like, dude, when I think it was my first impressions video, dude, when motherfuckers were still saying Monica Rambeau, I didn't even know who the fuck they were talking about. I said, they were like, Photon. I was like, oh, yeah, I kind of remember that character. But then, dude, you hear cats talk about this show and they're like, oh, yeah, dude, they all excited and shit. I'm like, nothing against the character. You motherfuckers don't read no Monica Rambeau.
And this goes back to the thing that I was telling you. A lot of social media influencers, particularly YouTubers, that just do like they play the hype man. They just give all this exposition and explanations on the characters, man. This is what makes I don't even want to call them normies because I just feel like I'm just being this uppity ass weeb or whatever. But
the uninitiated, how about that?
The uninitiated, those, they just jump on the bandwagon, and they just start acting like they know these characters.
Dude. I said what I had to say. Them motherfuckers ain't no goddamn Monica Rambeau fans. Get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit. Monica Rambeau is a fucking D-list character at best. Y'all barely even knew who the fuck Iron Man was prior to 2008. Get the fuck out of my face with that Monica Rambeau shit.
Right.
That's like nothing against that character. Nothing against that character. She is not as fucking popular as these motherfuckers make her out to be. Most motherfuckers didn't even know who Carol Danvers was before that fucking movie came out.
Oh, man.
So miss me on that, bro. Miss me on that. That fucking Carol Danvers has been in 3 different Marvel animated TV shows, and motherfuckers still didn't know who she was. So miss me on that.
Yeah, I had to remind somebody. I was like, the first time Carol Danvers made her on-screen appearance, like in an actual just televised thing, was what, X-Men, the 90s X-Men cartoon, when she was Miss Marvel. Yeah, that was the first time.
What?
That was
okay, yeah. So that makes 4 animated appearances because she's in Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, she's in Ultimate Spider-Man, and I think she was in that original. You remember the first Avengers animated series, the one that came out in the late 90s?
Oh yeah, with Tigra and all them.
Yeah,
Tigers.
I think she's in an episode of that. So yeah, if she's in X-Men animated series, that would predate that too.
Right.
So she's in 4 animated motherfucking series. She makes appearances in 4 animated fucking series. And y'all motherfuckers didn't even know who she was prior to that fucking movie coming out. Man, boy, you better get up. That shit. And don't get me started on the video games. I think she's in all of the Marvel Ultimate Alliance games. So yeah.
So what's the final verdict, man?
Final verdict. So this is how I feel. For someone who hasn't seen the series, right? If you haven't seen the series, but you like the MCU stuff, by all means, give it a watch. Because again, if you're remotely interested in these characters, it's still an okay watch. But I sure as shit ain't rewatching it. And I don't see much reason to go back and watch it more than once. But then again, dude, see, I'm in a bit of a different, space right now because I'm not really digging the fucking MCU right now. Again, I've said this before, but I'll just go back on record saying it. I was kind of done with Endgame. And the only projects I gave a fuck about moving forward, Eternals, Shang-Chi, Doc Strange 2, Blade. That's pretty much it.
Yeah. And I think the only thing that's going to lead into the only thing that really just sows some seeds that I think could sow seeds to Blades is that Darkhold book, because apparently the Darkhold is one of the sources behind the creation of vampires. So I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do with that.
Real quick, you talked about Easter eggs, so I'm glad you brought that up. What are these Easter eggs you were talking about earlier? Stuff that they laid the groundwork for, that they are either supposed to set up for later on, or it's stuff that we thought they would have paid off in this one that they did.
Well, we kind of brought up some of them. Like I was just saying, I was thinking that, like I said, I thought that since Hayward somehow knew about Wanda's chaos magic, that he could possibly be Mephisto, because that's a character that's always brought into the conversation anytime people talk about WandaVision and stuff like that. But apparently
they trolled the hell out of us with Mephisto.
Yeah, they did. They did everything they could to just,
Dude, you know how bad it was?
Oh, how bad?
Did you know they actually did? There was a toy order for Mephisto that they ended up canceling.
Oh, really?
And you know how those works, right? Like those orders, those things, whenever they make toys for shit, the orders for those are submitted years before the fucking property even comes out.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I don't know. I think there are toys for WandaVision. Those fucking toys were probably ordered in 2018.
Right.
So yeah, and I heard a rumor. This is just a rumor. It's not substantiated by any, it's just a rumor. But I heard that whole thing happened because originally Mephisto was supposed to be in the show, and that he got written out. They decided not to do that, but that was part of the original conceit.
It would have made a lot of sense to include him,
because the rumor is Agatha was not working for herself. She was his vassal. She was his.
Yeah. It's like there's a lot of stuff that doesn't really get answered. It's like, okay, does Wanda manifest Speed and Wiccan, or does somebody else do? Because you hear Pietro say, "Oh, go ahead and demon spawn," he calls them, and in the original source material, they are byproducts of Mephisto's magic.
Mm-hmm.
So what is it? Is that just a reference, or is that just something that they're planning that they don't ultimately answer in the series? So it's a lot of stuff, man. People thought that Fantastic Four was going to get brought into the mix because Agatha is in the Fantastic Four spectrum. That's what she was introduced. It's a lot of stuff that they were using from the Fantastic Four in particular. And, people were thinking we're going to get answers to that.
See, I wasn't expecting anything Fantastic Four because they just announced that.
Yeah, I know. But, sometimes.
And remember, this show was supposed to come out last year.
Right.
And Fantastic Four didn't get announced until last year.
Right.
So I wasn't expecting anything with the Fantastic Four because that just would have been too soon. Because remember, this show's been in development since 17, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Since because I want to say this show went into development either during or after they finished shooting Infinity War and Endgame. Remember, they shot both of them at the same time. They shot them back to back. And I want to say that's when this was in early development. So that would have been the summer of 17.
Mm-hmm.
So
I know somebody said something so stupid. They were saying that Jennifer Lawrence was seen filming on Fantastic Four, and I was like, how can that be? I was like, we're just now filming Spider-Man, and I'm like, John Watts is like, even after they finish, they still have to John Watts still has to see oversee the production and stuff like that, post-production. So that couldn't be true, So I knew that they didn't they weren't working on a Fantastic Four film, but I thought that maybe try to implement certain characters that tie into the main characters or something like that, or maybe we get a Victor Von Doom or something.
How long was that Jennifer Lawrence thing? When was that?
That was released, I think, around the time that episode 8 came out. So I want to say at least 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, but like I said, man, I mean, if you like the MCU, if you haven't watched it yet, maybe you'll give it a watch, fine. But for me, like I said, dude, I'm over this show for the most part. I'm over the MCU at this point. And just for reasons that I decided to give a shit about, Disney is kind of on my shit list right now. So, yeah. Disney as a whole is kind of on my shit list, not just Marvel, but Disney as a whole. So.
Well.
All right. So, you got time for some questions?
Sure.
All right, let me see. Let me go through these real quick. Let me see. What do we have? Do we have any? Okay, so this one's from DeJean Patterson Powers. Actually, let me go ahead and change this real quick. Blow it up. There we go. So yeah, this one is from DeJean Patterson Powers. He says, "How disappointed were you when most of your theories didn't come true for the show?" In terms of what, okay, so here's the thing. Here's my thing. The stuff, my theories for the show, I thought would have been too typical. You see what I'm saying? So I'm glad that it wasn't that. But in hindsight, after seeing what we actually got, I would have preferred if they would have just done my typical shit. Because see, my theories, I said were typical because I was basing them off of the source material. Instead, they did typical MCU shit. And I would have rather the typical comic book shit versus the typical MCU shit.
Yeah, I was really disappointed in things that didn't really manifest into the show that I theorized. But the only thing that I was really disappointed in was just how on the nose it was. Like everything that I called kind of happened in the episodes. Only the whole thing with Wanda still in Vision's body and reanimated. That didn't happen. I guess you could say that was the twist of the show. But I wasn't really disappointed in anything like pertaining to the theories and stuff. It's just the show was kind of predictable. They played it relatively safe and MCU-ish, like Larry said.
And real quick, let me go ahead and define what I'm talking about when I say typical MCU shit, right? So typical MCU shit is, in my opinion, how how Endgame ended.
Mm-hmm.
That's typical MCU shit, in my opinion. I'm talking about the tropes, the pattern of narrative that they tell. You know what I'm saying? Now that's not to say that they haven't done better, because they have done better. Good examples of when they've done better. Civil War, probably the best adaptation that they've done in the MCU by far, because they took the concept of the source material, worked it within the fucking narrative and within the world they already built, and then they built on top of that, and they actually made it work better. That's one example of when it was actually done well. I would also throw out Winter Soldier. Pretty much all of the Captain,
yeah,
except for First Avenger. First Avenger is what I would consider typical comic book shit. Because First Avenger is the typical comic book shit. Okay. So yeah, First Avenger is an example of what I would consider typical comic book shit. Thor Ragnarok is what I would consider typical MCU shit.
I see what you're getting at now. Yeah.
And that's typical MCU shit on one spectrum. You want to know the typical MCU shit on the other one? Thor: The Dark World. Pretty much the Thor franchise is the typical MCU shit. So those are examples of what. So when I talk about, when I talk about an MCU movie feeling like an MCU movie, playing out like an MCU movie, I'm talking about the stereotypical shit where you can figure out the fucking movie 20 minutes in, where you can call every beat that's going to happen. Every joke has the same type of cadence. It has the same type of humor, the same type of landing. And even the good movies have this problem. Black Panther, typical MCU shit. Good typical MCU shit, but still typical MCU shit. Guardians 2, I would consider typical MCU shit. Not the first one. The first one, that was different. I kind of would throw in Iron Man 3 in there too. Iron Man 3 is sort of typical MCU shit. So that's what I'm talking about. And Fear or Hate says, hoping you guys will give better points than most reviews out there with people mad because the fan theories weren't correct. Hopefully we did.
Yeah.
Because I would like to think that that most of this review was us criticizing the show for not paying off on shit that they set up.
Exactly.
Not what we were expecting them to.
Yeah, I'm not functioning off any preconceived notions. Like I said, like I know how it is to overextend yourself when it comes to these movies and stuff. The Star Wars fan base is a huge component of overextending yourself. And shit, I'll even go and add the WWE universe, like, what you're getting. This you know how the company is by now.
I'm laughing at a comment that didn't pop up here, but I can see it on the YouTube one. It said Jay the Light Seeker says, Larry, please get a shirt made that says typical MCU shit. I might.
Oh man.
I might. And then on the back I can list all the movies that are the typical MCU shit.
Oh, bro.
I might. Let's see. Some Maniac Madness 11 compared the Quicksilver cameo to Snoke in the sequel trilogy, in the Star Wars sequel trilogy. I think it's even worse than that, truth be told. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see. Maniac Madness 11. He says, do you feel it was too many red herrings? Also, do you think the emotional effect of Wanda's arc is going to be undermined by the time Doc Strange movie comes out, when White Vision possibly returns? Absolutely. So here's the thing about that. Is it too many red herrings? No, because red herrings only. Here's the thing. If you lie to your audience, red herrings don't work. Like red herrings only work because there has to be a legitimate chance that the thing you're setting up as a red herring could actually be the cause of the conflict in that narrative. That's what makes it a red herring. It's a red herring because it's like, like if you do like a whodunit, it's like, oh, there is every plausible reason that it could have been that person, but instead it was actually this person. That's what makes it a red herring. If you just straight up lie to your audience, it's not a red herring.
Mm. Yeah. I was like, I don't know. Like, the only thing I really consider a red herring is Hayward, because of all the different things that they were doing with that character that would make you suspect that he is a much bigger entity than what he was portraying himself to be in the show. But that's the only thing I can really think of. I don't like, it's not too much. I think everybody like the main summation of this whole argument pertaining to this show would have to be theories that didn't manifest into reality, things that never really came to fruition in the show that people, just conjured up.
Gotcha. So we got, hang on real quick. Let me click on this. We got a $20 super sticker from Miss Anderson. Thanks so much. And it's I don't know what that's supposed to be. It looks like I don't know how you describe that. It looks like a Cabbage Patch Kid, like sticking a landing.
Like a lemon head or something.
Yeah, like a lemon head kid or something like that. Kind of like landing and like doing like the dynamic like hand thing. I'm assuming that's what that is.
Yeah. Appreciate the $20 super chat.
Yes, thank you. Oh, I think it's supposed to be a hug.
Oh.
I think that's what it's supposed to be. Then why doesn't the animation end like this? Why does it start here and do this?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's backwards. I don't know. Anywho, moving on. All right, let's see. What else do we got here? This one said, Fear or Hate says, I want to know how Ralph, fake Quicksilver, had powers if he wasn't the Fox Quicksilver. Good point.
I don't know, man. I guess it has something to do with Agatha and the Darkhold magic or whatever the hell she was doing in the show.
Yeah, that's what we have to assume, right? Because Wanda was able to create the kids and they had powers.
Yeah.
But they didn't get powers. They didn't get... Oh, how about this? Hang on. Let me ask you this. We never got an explanation on how Monica's powers work. Because she didn't have those powers before she went into the Hex.
Right.
But then she did afterwards.
I mean, they make it a point to say that it altered her DNA or whatever, but they never really show how she was able to control them. I felt like that was going to be something that was going to be explored in the next Captain Marvel film or whatever they're going to put her in. But it seems like she has an idea that she has some kind of supernatural powers.
And here's the other thing too. I'm assuming that her power. See, I don't know if it does come from the Hex or not, because here's the thing. Once Wanda tears down the Hex, shouldn't her powers go with it?
I don't know. And
if it was a side effect of something Agatha did, then when Wanda used her power on Agatha, wouldn't that also lock Monica? That's what I'm saying. I think Monica's power is supposed to have pre-existed.
I don't know. I mean, Monica's kind of been through more than what the average human in the MCU has been through. She's already been associated with the Skrulls and stuff like that. Oh, so unless they explain what kind of incident happened to her for those powers to potentially be awakened in this show, then I don't know. Like, that's just another one of those things that they never really talk about in full, or they never really hint at in full.
Okay, Maniac Madness 11, he brings this up. Check this out. He says, Wanda says she was able to resurrect Vision because a piece of the stone lives inside her. So how is it she couldn't resurrect MCU Pietro? Or how is it that she recognized X-Men Pietro as her brother. Well, how about this? Why would it matter Vision's connection to the Mind Stone when she created those kids from scratch? I'll wait.
Oh man, that is kind of weird.
And Fear or Hate says Doc Strange cameo was supposed to be in the show, but he says the rumor is they cut it. I don't know why they would. We knew that Wanda was going to be in Doc Strange 2 since Doc Strange 2 got announced.
Right.
That was, what, 2 years ago? So I don't know why they would cut his cameo unless they didn't shoot it.
I don't know, man. Like, this stuff is kind of weird. But then again, like, you know, one of the reasons why we haven't had a Doctor Strange 2 yet, and it's been like a 5-year time gap since the first movie?
4.
Oh, 4-year time? Yeah, it's because
by the time 2 comes out, it will have been 5 years. Because isn't that supposed to come out next year?
Yeah,
it'll be 5 years by the time it comes out.
Yeah, I can imagine that Benedict Cumberbatch has a very busy schedule, which is why he wasn't even really into some of the same scenes with the other cast members in Endgame. He's just a busy guy like that, you know. So, you know, thank God we're gonna finally get an actual sequel with him. But I don't know. I wouldn't have cared for a cameo from him because he's made cameos in multiple Marvel movies already, and we don't need that if we already know he's gonna tie. One is gonna tie into his movie.
I'm gonna answer this real quick. I don't mean anything by it when I say this. So, DeJean, you know I don't mean anything by this when I say this. He says, did you think Monica Aerospace Engineer was somebody special from the comics like Mr. Fantastic or Blue Marvel? Dude, I don't give a fuck. That means nothing to me. That means nothing. Until a motherfucker shows up on camera, what the fuck does that matter?
Yeah, man. I mean, I thought it was going to be Blue Marble, but a lot of people thought it was Mr. Fantastic.
Does it matter? Did they play a role in the story?
Mm-hmm.
No, they didn't. So it didn't matter. I answered that one. Let's see. Okay. Maniac Madness 11 says, and how did Wanda know how to cast any spell after learning about them in episode prior to this? Stuff like that irritates me. That is true. The shit with the runes in the sky.
Yeah.
I call bullshit on that too. Yes, I did. But truth be told, that whole fight between her and Agatha just felt like the ego Star-Lord fight from Guardians 2. So
it's like you just acquired some of these powers, and all of a sudden you just showing up, you know how to use them or something.
White Vision looking like a cheap discount Silver Surfer.
Bruh. I told my fiance, I was like, that nigga walking around here looking like a PS5, you know what I'm saying? Looking like an alternate skin or something. DLC.
Oh man. Oh, we going to hell. Let's see. Why did they even continue the sitcom stuff in episode 7 when they said it's not broadcasting anymore? Did they do sitcom in episode 7?
I don't remember.
Because let me see. Because 5 was the Malcolm in the Middle episode, right? Because 6 was the Modern Family episode. Unless I'm getting I'm sorry. No, 6 was the Malcolm in the Middle episode. 7 was the Modern Family episode. Yeah, episode 7 was the Modern Family because that was breaking the fourth wall. That's the name of that episode. Good point. Good point. That is a good point. Dijon asks, is anybody looking forward to Falcon and Winter Soldier? I'm not. Are you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. You know, I like the action and stuff that they have with those two characters. So I'm interested to see where they go with it. You know, like Baron Zemo, that's one of my favorite MCU characters, MCU villains.
Really?
Yeah. Different from the typical ones we had prior.
The MCU version, though? Because I love me some Zemo in the comics.
I mean, I like Zemo in the comics too, but I'm just saying, in terms of just MCU villains, like I just found him to be like his motivation stuff to be different, and he was in one of the best MCU movies. So
yeah, but you do acknowledge that his whole Grandmaster scheme is contrivant as fuck because there's no way he could account for those characters to act the way they did for his plan to work out. His plan was contingent on too many specific things to happen that the characters had to do themselves. Multiple characters had to do specific things. There's no way he could have accounted for all that.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just like the story of that movie. I like what the
I like it too, but that's a glaring fucking plot contrivance that I can't reconcile. What are the chances?
I mean, did he think that would just play out like that though, to that extent though? You know what I'm saying?
According to what he said at the when he gave his whole spiel in the third act, it was.
Oh, I just thought that he was just going to use the Winter Soldier to just do his bidding and cause a lot of friction because the Winter Soldier was already a highly wanted criminal that was going to cause confusion.
No, he meant for Bucky to be a scapegoat.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh well.
The best thing Zemo did was when he sent them to that secret base that had the other Winter Soldiers, and he had already taken them offline. Right. And he's like, yeah, I never intended to bring these guys back online because I'm trying to get rid of all of you superpowered motherfuckers. The last thing I'm trying to do is add 4 more to the fold.
Well, this seems like it could be a potential course correction to get that character more specifically like he was in the comics then, since they seem to be doing it at least from a aesthetic standpoint. So I'm interested in seeing how far they take him in this one.
I just know they're not going to do comic Zemo. I know they're not.
No,
I know they're not, because comic Zemo is megalomaniac as hell. They're not going to do that. Despite the fact that actor could do that role. He's perfect for that role. But I don't think they're going to. They're not going to do him the way he is in the comics. Let's see. Thoughts on the direction with the cliff. This one's from the Big Sambrowski. He says, "Hey Larry, thoughts on the direction with the cliffhanger ending? Which cliffhanger ending?"
I think he's talking about the one at the very end with Monica just being at their remote location and her basically using astral projection to study the Darkhold.
Okay, so the thing with Wanda just means she's in training, and the thing with Monica means Fury called her up and she's about to go meet him in that damn space station he's at.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I think it could possibly be highlighting like Wanda as a villain. You know, she might be able to play a villainous role in the multiverse of madness.
Villain in this. She should have been the villain in this. Let's see. Maniac Madness 11. He says, "Do you think Marvel is leaking false leaks to throw people off from the actual stories?" Of course, yes. They always do that. They always do that. Yeah. All right, man. Actually, I think it is time that we have to do a hard out. We have to hard out here. So yeah, because we're already past an hour and a half, and I went way over time, way over time. I get the feeling I'm gonna regret that in the morning. So I want to go ahead and thank everybody for tuning in tonight. Thank everybody for watching after the fact. As always, be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Follow me on social media, facebook.com/OAW Entertainment, twitter.com/OAW ENTMT, twitch.tv/OAW _entertainment. Of course, right here at youtube.com/OAW Entertainment. And last but certainly not least, if you have a request for a TV show that you would like to see me do a first impression style review of, or if you prefer a full season review of, hit me up. Become a patron at patreon.com/OAW. Select that blockbuster tier. Blockbuster tier is meant for media that is within that 2-hour range. But if you are looking for a longer form review, maybe where I cover more than just 2 hours worth of content, like I said, man, shoot me a message. We can work something out. That's not a problem. We just gotta, work it out. Just make an arrangement. One more thing I do want to mention, though, because I have been getting hit up lately about requests for reviews and whatnot. Just so you guys know, the way Patreon works, when you subscribe to Patreon, it doesn't charge you automatically. It doesn't charge you until the first of the next month. So essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm accepting requests for videos for April, because on April 1st is when Patreon will charge you for pledging. So as of right now, you guys can pledge, but it won't actually charge you until the 1st. That's why, like right now, I'm just fielding requests. This month, I'm actually going to try and catch up on the outstanding requests I already have. So essentially right now, I'm just gathering a list of requests at this moment. But yeah, once again, that's patreon.com/OAW. And before we get out of here, I want to take this opportunity to once again thank my man, RandomBlackGamer, for joining me again for another review. Man, tell the people where they can find you. It's time for the full-blown plug. How can people find your content? What can they look forward to? Let the people know. I'm giving you the full screen for this one.
Okay, appreciate that, man. First and foremost, you can find me over at YouTube/RandomBlackGamer, where we talk about everything from the upcoming titles from Marvel properties like Spider-Man 2, and we also talk about Transformers. And if you want to follow me on my social media handles, you can reach me at RandomBlackGame. I couldn't fit that R in my Twitter handle. That's where you can find me over there on Twitter. And for my Instagram, I have RandomBlackGamer88, so you can just spy on me and be creepy or whatever you like to do. So yeah.
Cool beans, man. Yeah, love the content, looking forward to it. Yours is a lot shorter than mine, though.
I'm trying to get there, man. Like I say, I'm trying to get into this whole on-camera realm and just do the live streaming thing, man. But it's a working process, man. I got my camera over here, so I'm just waiting on my cam link and all that to get started.
Yeah, but yours be professional grade though. You go scripted. Yeah, I think your shit is in 5K. And it's like
translated in different languages and shit.
Like the freaking the subtitles. Like you put. I know you put your script in your captions.
Oh yeah. That's how you do it.
There's not a single typo in the captions, and it's on pace with like definitely professional grade shit over at RandomBlackGamer. Definitely professional grade shit over there. So guys, I highly recommend, especially if you guys keep up with a lot of like superhero video games or like with the Transformers franchise, because you have a full-blown history of that on the channel. Yeah, you guys definitely want to check out my man RandomBlackGamer. Definitely want to do that. All right, so it is time for us to get out of here. Once again, this has been Larry Williams, OAW Commander-in-Chief.
And this has been your boy RBG, aka RandomBlackGamer.
And we will check you all later. Until next time. Peace.
Peace.
Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Is this not why you are here?